and welcome to another exclusive interview by Recovery Today Magazine at recoverytodaymagazine.com, where first and foremost, we are a magazine of hope. Whether you're considering addiction recovery for yourself or loved one, or maybe you're actively in recovery a little while or a long, long time, you're going to find all kinds of information, topics on recovery, sobriety, and really living a happy, successful, sober life at Recovery Today. My name's Rob Handy. I'm the editor-in-chief of Recovery Today, and I got the real cool, distinct pleasure and great job, I guess I would say. I'm joined by another rock star, and graduating in 1983 from high school, kind of dating myself a bit there. I'm joined by Mark Kendall. He is the lead guitarist, and he's the founding member of the band Great White. Hey, thanks for coming on, Mark. I really appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me, man.
Let me give a little bio on Great White for, people that maybe were in a different genre or something like that. Great White is obviously a hard rock band. That's what I grew up on. It's kind of what I cut my teeth on. All American kind of blood here. And it was during the 80s and the 90s. Some of my, they were all over MTV. I remember one of the first things that popped in my mind is, Once Bitten, Twice Shy. And still going strong, man. So, I mean, like I said, big fan, and I appreciate you taking a minute to jump on.
Glad to be here, Rob. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess kind of jump right into it, man. Let's kind of jump into your story a little bit. Obviously, I mean, you're a rock star. It's kick-ass. I mean, it always comes with that, that whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But I wanted to, get your story from you and your own words.
Yeah. Well, as far as I kind of grew up just like a normal kid. Did all the normal things, played baseball, rode mini bikes, ran with friends, got in trouble. As far as I discovered the guitar as a very young boy because my parents, there was a lot of music going in the house. There was a neighbor band that used to play in a garage. I used to watch them through the side window. I was like fascinated by these guys in a band, and my dad got me a guitar when I was 9. A real, kind of a crummy guitar just to see if I'd stick with it. And I was going around to neighbors learning chords from people. There was a surf band behind me. I took a lesson from that guy. I was able to put 4 songs together. I played for my 4th grade class with another guitar player.
Man.
Yeah, we're doing gigs, bringing the wagon to school with my amp and his amp. We did Pipeline, Wipeout, Gloria, and Secret Agent Man. And so I was just kind of hooked from there. As far as the alcohol getting into my life, my father, my dad, he was, a functioning alcoholic. I mean, but I knew when I was like 7 years old, he had some kind of issues because there was like vodka bottles all over the place. They were in the bathroom, hidden in the cupboard. They were in his closet. I was nosing around in his closet one day because he played semi-pro ball, and I was looking for a uniform, and I kept hearing this clinking. It was like every pocket of his coat had a little pint of vodka in it, empty bottles. And then I seen him under his seat, but he never missed a day of work. He wasn't violent. He was my baseball coach every year, but obviously had a problem. He got sober, he died in 2013, but he had 25 years sobriety.
Love to hear that, man. Love to hear that.
Yeah, it was just great. We had, the last 2 years, we just hung out, watched games, talked about old times and whatnot. Anyways, so I kind of had the seed of the alcoholic seed, if you will. And kind of just was a weekend drinker as a teenager. I was playing in people's backyards, with my guitar and, band guys, and we were playing. And it was just kind of the thing to do, have some beer on the weekends, not a huge thing. I wasn't like waking up and need a beer or anything, But what I did have was kind of this deep-rooted fear and it was the type fear in small groups, you know, one-on-one with somebody, maybe, you know, 3 people are coming over that are my parents' friends. I was a little nervous, you know, just being around people, and I could never kind of figure it out. But what I did notice is, as far as playing in front of like 20 people or something, it was a little nerve-wracking. I would just have a couple beers, and it made everything so easy.
Yep.
It was just like the vehicle to make me not afraid of anything.
Yep.
So that went on, you know. We got a record deal. I was probably 25 years old. I'd been playing in this band for a long time. Met some manager, A&R type dude. He liked everything.
So at 20 years old, you got a record deal, but you've been playing in the band for quite a while?
Yeah.
At 20.
Well, when I was 15, well, even 14, when I was 14, I was playing with guys, and we only played Santana. I like totally insisted that we play Santana only.
Wow. And you're the guitarist. I'm thinking Santana at 14?
Yeah, I was just fascinated by Carlos Santana. Don't ask me why. I just I love the way he squeezed notes. You know, there's something about. I've always been into like people that play, you know, I guess from the soul, the heart. You know, the feel players that squeeze notes because that's the way they're feeling at that moment. There was something about that, and I saw this Woodstock concert. Footage, and I saw him just grab a note, and he was just holding on to it for dear life. And when I saw that, I wanted to be him. You know, I was just so blown away by him. But that's kind of the people I was influenced by. Anyways, so we went on tour. You know, we went. This was, I guess, when you graduated from high school. It was about '83.
Yeah.
And we went over, we played with the White Snake in Europe. We came back with Judas Priest. All this time, you know, we had beer on our rider every day. And, you know, I went from backyards and clubs into an arena situation. So it was quite nerve-wracking.
Wow.
So again, the beer, you know, the alcohol made everything easy.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I was 26 years old, I started to notice when I was waking up in the morning, you know, just from the hardcore partying the night before, alcohol wears off, my hands were like shaking, you know, like tremors. I go, holy cow, I know it's the alcohol making it do that because, you know, it calms you down, slows down the heart, makes you cocky, you know, everything's easy. But when it wears off, you're twice as scared. And,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it started to become a rut. And then, you know, for one thing, I didn't roll out of bed and just start drinking vodka. I was, I guess you would call it, I was just a strict beer man. But I drank like a crazy man. And I got probably just as much pain as anybody.
Did you get fat, too? Because you're actually, like, real thin and fit now.
Well, I haven't drank for 11 years.
Yeah.
But, I had a double chin. The cheeks were a little swollen, you know. Definitely the alcohol bloat, you know, and all that. It wasn't like I didn't drink hard alcohol. I did every once in a while. It just wasn't something I rolled out of bed and started doing.
Yeah.
But I drank just tons of beer. Anyways, by the time I was 34, it was just really bad. And my band, I can tell the way they were looking at me, they were, you know, the vibe, they knew I was in trouble, and I could tell they were going to do some kind of intervention. I could just feel it coming. So I kind of went to them and said, hey, you know, I want to quit drinking, but I have no idea how to do it. It's like I've never tried it before. I don't know how to go about it. You just stop. I mean, that seems impossible. So I was talking to my manager, and we decided I'm going to try this rehab deal. I went to Arizona. I went into rehab. I'm listening to these people. I'm in groups, you know, little small groups every day, a lot of classes. Another really famous rock star was there. there for a different reason, sex addiction, right? So they had different addictions and that type of thing, but I got to talk with him a lot. He had 4 years sobriety at the time. Anyway, so I'm listening and, you know, trying to be attentive, but I wasn't believing everything I was hearing. But when people shared, it sounded like me. You know,
right.
I'm going, God, I can't believe you used to take out the trash and drink real quick, man. I used to do. I thought I wrote that, you know. So, you know, so I'm hearing my story over and over. So I know I'm in the right place. I mean, I understand I'm an alcoholic. Part of what I didn't believe was that it was a progressive disease. Like, so you're telling me, like, if I quit drinking for a year and I drank again, it would be worse when I started back? For some reason, I didn't believe that. But anyway, so I'm in there for 30 days. I didn't do like a follow-up halfway house and all that stuff that's available. But I think it's good to do that. For one thing, when I had no chance to ease back into the world because we had this party that I had to go straight to. It was in the Capitol Records parking lot. There's like 1,000 people there. We had jugglers and, you know, it was just a nutso party for a record release thing. Because I just finished a record before I went into rehab. So I went...
Finished the record, went into rehab, and then you got to come out for the debut of the record?
To a party where everybody's drinking and it's just crazy, you know. And it really made me nervous. I went up on stage and played just kind of like a Hendrix song or something with Vivian Campbell, who is a real great guitar player. He was in Dio, and he's been in Def Leppard for 20 years. But he was in Whitesnake for a long stint as well. So that made me nervous. I was totally uncomfortable. I wasn't comfortable, you know, at all. So it was real tough. I mean, I remember the first thing I did was I went to 7-Eleven just to get something to drink, you know, nothing alcohol. And that was tough. It was like just being around people. It was a very, very strange situation. Anyway, so I was going to meetings and everything, but again, the term in the program is you got one foot in the door and one out. It's like, okay, I'm here, but I can't wait to leave, you know.
Yeah.
I was kind of into that mode. So kind of making a long story short, I was stopping and starting for years. And here's why. I was so jealous of people that could drink normal. It just was upsetting, and I'm very competitive in nature. and I was going to, you know, I'm going to
figure it out.
I'm going to drink like a normal damn person. I'm going to have 2 beers and watch a football game, you know, with the boys just like they do. So what
happened, by the way? What happens when you have 2 beers?
Well, you know, you know the saying, it's 2 is too many and 1,000 ain't enough.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what would happen. But if I would force it not to happen, and I could do it for maybe a week, but then the cycle happened all over again. So I'd go 2 years of sobriety. Kind of, I would consider it white knuckling it because I wasn't wholeheartedly into the program, you know, only halfway listening. You know, I used to call the people in the program those people because
okay, not you, it's not us.
It couldn't be me. And so this went on for years. You know, I'd go 2 years. I tried to drink normal, fail. Go a year and a half, try to drink normal, fail, and I just kept doing that over and over and getting the same result every time, pain. So in 2008, November 1st, I got the date, I drank. I was in Utah. I called my wife, and this is the first time I was ever honest, ever in my life. As far as with my drinking, I always hid it. I was always, you know, no, I didn't drink, no, you know, that type of thing. But I told my wife I drank, and I said, but here's the good news. When I get home, I'm going to go to a meeting. I'm going to listen to everybody. I'm going to take it in, take direction, listen to all the old timers, do what they do, get a sponsor. I'm going to do everything that I've been avoiding. And so I did it, you know, listened. But here's a funny thing. I have a sponsor, right? We're doing steps together and the whole nine. And I'm like 3 months into my recovery, and I'm being told by everybody, and I believe them, that my life's going to get better. I remember one day I came to him, I go, bro, it's been 90 days, and things just aren't getting any better. You know, my life is not, you know, getting better, but it's kind of it's sustaining itself. So
not getting worse.
Yeah, it's not getting worse, so that's good. But things did start getting better. And that made me, I mean, unreal stuff, like just, my whole world just changed. My relationship just continued. Today it's just completely amazing. My kids, my music, just I don't know if you want to call it karma. I think, you know, I feel closer to God and stuff like that. I'm, you know, spiritually, I'm in a better place, which, you know, that I think that helps. I feel like I'm living right, which I wasn't before, so that, you know, that's good.
Why do you think it takes a little while? Why you would be in that spot where it would be like, my life's not getting better, and then all of a sudden it starts, something happens and something happens. What do you think?
I think the reason it didn't happen before is because I wasn't fully surrendering. I wasn't.
But I mean, even after you surrendered and you go 90 days and you're telling your sponsor, like, dude, it ain't happening. Like, why then all of a sudden?
The only reason I did that is because I heard from everybody that after about 3 months, your life's just going to just go crazy wonderful. And I go, it just ain't happening yet.
Yeah.
You know, that's the other reason the 3 month, you know, thing happened.
So what was it for you? 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, around in the first year?
Yeah, it was a slow thing, but little things just started to get better for me. Financially, just a lot of good things started happening. And the funny thing is, it's like when I would do these 2-year breaks and not drink, the second my hand hit a beer and I opened it, it was like the universe and the world just, and a big dark cloud just came over me, and things would just go wrong. And I'm not kidding you. I know that sounds crazy, but it was like, you know, God knew that I was blowing it right now, and He's letting me know. I know it sounds absolutely not even believable, but that's really.
It's maybe like all the protections that you had are gone, null and void right now. You know. Yeah,
and it's a torturous life. It's really a dark life, and it's a lot of work. Being an alcoholic, and I've said it this way before, but it's like chasing normal for me, because I'm really just trying to escape the pain, the shame, you know, the guilt, and all the things that alcohol brings into your life when you're using, when you're drinking. I would just not want to feel that guilt and fear and pain and everything. So it wasn't like I wanted to be completely out of my mind, like at 11 in the morning. I just didn't want to. I wanted to be able to talk on the phone and feel like fine, you know, not feel. There's something that alcohol did to me when I would wake up. I felt like just awful. It was a guilt, shame, pain, fear. I was afraid of myself almost. It was so bad. So
I remember about the time that I was in high school and really listening to your music, or maybe a little bit before, and I remember thinking, and I was probably 16, 17, and thinking like, you're trying to figure out like who you are. There's a lot of questions that I'd have, like, am I smart? Am I not? Am I, you know, what? You're trying to kind of figure your place in the world. And I remember thinking, I like myself most after I've got about 2 beers in me. Maybe not 6, because I drink 6 or 7, you know, even in high school on a Friday night, 10 maybe, you know. But then you're drunk. But like 2 beers, man, I'm cruising. I got a nice buzz. I'm kind of funny. I'm loose, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking I can never abuse this. Like I don't ever want to like abuse it because I don't want to lose that. Like I like that. I like how I am. So I really get the whole idea. Like you need that to kind of be norm or your best self, you know.
I had all these questions in my head. I thought, you know, because I'm kind of funny, you know, I'm not a normal guy. I can make people laugh. I didn't think I'd be able to do that with being sober. I thought I would become this serious guy.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, I'm more in touch with my music. I feel I can tell when it's good. I feel it better. I can make people roll over and die laughing. You know, now that I'm more comfortable, I really had to work through fear.
It's a big one.
I did it. Here's how I did it. You know, it was just an exercise that my sponsor taught me. Confront people. I would confront people, which is impossible for me. Confront someone who's saying something maybe derogatory toward me, or maybe someone talking shit about somebody else. I would say, man, when when you're all negative like that, it's stupid, man. I don't like that. You know what I mean? I started doing that every day, and slowly the fear disappeared, and I gained confidence. So it was like a 1-2 punch, you know, to where now I can be in small groups. I can play my guitar in front of 10 people in my living room and not have a nervous breakdown. Because believe it or not, I can play in front of 300,000 people, and it's like I don't even feel like anybody's there. They're so removed from what we're doing on stage. And plus I have a little bit of control. You know, I can control what I do on stage, and, you know, I'm not afraid, you know, in that situation. But when you put me in a very small group, like even a meeting, like, you know, a 12-step meeting, man, it's like, man, I really feel naked, exposed.
It's the intimacy maybe, huh?
Yeah, the intimacy is something, but I'm doing good with that now. And another exercise was speaking at meetings, going to, well, you know, about 7 or 8 years ago, I think 8 years ago, I started reaching out on Facebook, you know, quit using it to promote myself and my band and everything, and started, you know, saying, hey, man, you know, if anybody's out there, you know, struggling with alcohol or drugs, I'm available to be your sober friend, or, you know, be supportive.
You know, you led me right into actually one of my questions is I was going to ask, like, you know, what prompted you to do this interview today? But I think maybe you just answered my question.
Yeah. I like getting the word out because, you know, I really feel like, you know, a lot of times people that drink and maybe they start to kind of know it's becoming a problem, it's affecting their life in kind of a negative way, maybe they're affecting their responsibilities, this, that, and the other. But they really just either don't know how to quit or how to go about it, or maybe they're in that mode where they say, my life would be too boring without, you know, being able to have some drinks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it
does your wife, your significant other, if it's not too personal, do they drink?
No. In fact, we got sober together.
Okay.
Her drug of choice was marijuana. She drank too, but believe it or not, she has anxiety issues. Well, she did, and used pot, but she totally abused it. I mean, she was like spending $100 a day on this stuff. And
right.
Like when I was a teenager, you would get like this big giant baggie full of pot. Now it's like this little, the size of a quarter. I go,
yeah, and it isn't the same either. I don't know who I was talking to the other day, and it's like, when I was in high school, like your friend would grow really good weed, or somebody had really good weed that they'd bring in from Hawaii or Kona bud or something like that.
Yeah.
Now it's all fucking like geneticized. It's all laboratory. Fucking, you know.
Oh, man.
It's like 100 times.
I took one hit of pot, and I was ready to go to the emergency. I couldn't believe it. My heart was racing, you know, because I was kind of getting cocky. I go, let me have a hit off that, man. I used to have Cheech and Chong albums, you know.
Yeah.
I took this big old hit, and I wanted to die. But anyways, yeah, we both quit at the same time. She had one slip after 30 days. She was having really bad anxiety, but went right back in. So we both have 11 years. So yeah, it's a sober household, but
let me ask a couple of like rock star questions, man. It's like one of the things I had down here is I always like to know, like, when was it, like, you know, I'm thinking like you got that one guitar. I'm trying to think who that was, you know. But when, like, when you were a kid, I mean, man, you're like an actual rock star when you're 20. Like, when did you start thinking like, I think I want to be a rock star, man, like when I grow up, you know? When did that happen?
Well, I really didn't, I really wasn't thinking about being a star or anything, but I played guitar since I was 9 years old, but I played baseball every year. I was playing at 18. I was a pitcher. My dad wanted me to go pro.
No kidding, man.
But my arm started to hurt at 18. It was hurting after 3 innings. 2 guys on my own team ran faster, hit more home runs, and threw harder.
Yeah.
To get scouted, to even be scouted and have somebody be interested from like on a major league level, your numbers have to like blow the whole league away.
Yeah.
Not to mention your own team.
Yeah.
So I really felt, you know, and thinking back, I could have done things, maybe worked with light weights. There was a lot I could have done. But back in those days, they didn't have all the video, you know, there weren't pro camps, you know.
Yeah.
To where today, like 12-year-olds look like little pros.
Yeah.
You know, they have perfect fundamentals, you know.
Same in basketball too, man. They can shoot 3-pointers and stuff like that. It's insane.
You know? It's all the drills, and to where in my day it was just go play, and whoever has the most natural talent, I guess that's the guy that's going to do good. But I was getting kind of disheartened, so I decided to go full-time music, and I was already playing in bands at the time. I was playing I'm Going Home. I was, you know, playing ZZ Top, and you know, getting my way around the neck pretty good. So before I knew it, I was playing in clubs 5 sets a night and that type of thing. And then,
what did your parents think about that?
My dad at first, well, I remember my dad saying that, you know, Mark, only 1 in a million, you know, make it in music. And he was a jazz trumpet player, so, and he didn't quite make it. And it was really because of money. There was no money in jazz for him. So that's why he, you know, kind of quit at, I think, 35 years old. But I'm going, yeah, but I have no chance of baseball. I mean, you know, I got guys on my own team that blow me away. My arm is killing me, you know. And he goes, okay, you know. I mean, they supported me no matter what I did.
When was it that, I guess if it wasn't some kind of like a burning desire type of thing, like I'm going to be a rock star one day, you'll see, I'll make it big. I mean, I'm kind of getting a little bit like you're just working you're kind of working your craft and getting better and better, and then kind of almost all of a sudden stuff broke out. When was it? Was it about then that somebody said, dude, you're a star, like you're going to be freaking big, like legit?
Well, you know, there's different moments in our career where it could be considered, you know, star moments. One that kind of stood out because we used to pretend like we were playing the Forum. When we were, you know, like we'd literally standing in a living room, we'd go, Forum, good night, you know. You know, so it was that pretend mode, you know. Yeah. And it was where all the concerts were. Zeppelin played there, AC/DC, all the biggest bands. I seen Ted Nugent fly through the place, and so when we played there and we were handed platinum records on the stage and that type deal, that was kind of, you know, what would be considered kind of a rock star moment.
Yeah. Like, holy shit, I'm here.
Yeah. And what made it neat was my parents were there. guys I was in 7th grade with. You
So
know,
cool, man.
the first 5 rows were all like friends, you know, my buddies, you know. So it was a great night. But we had a lot of those type nights. And
How did you come up with the name Great White, by the way?
Well, we were playing the whiskey in Hollywood, and this A&R guy who was with a small independent company called Enigma, who had signed Motley Crue 1 year before, asked his friend who he helped, a guy called Don Dawkin, who was in a group called Dawkin.
Rhymes with rockin'. I remember Dawkin rhymes with rockin'. Yeah.
Right. And so this guy called Alan Niven, he asked Don, because Don kind of owed him a favor because he introduced him to his management, who managed Def Leppard. It was Peter Minch and Cliff Bernstein, and they became Dawkins' managers. So he asked him, who's the best band around? Who's the, you know, and he mentioned us. And we had a different name. We were called Dante Fox. And so he went and saw us twice and didn't really love it. And he went to Don going, I don't know about these guys. You know, he goes, you're missing it, bro. He goes, me and you, let's go watch them. So they both went and seen us at the Whiskey in Hollywood. And that night, for some reason on the encore, we played No Doctor by Humble Pie. And when we did that, he goes, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, I can make this work for sure. And he gave us his card and everything. Well, he was standing out in front of the building, and he said that I drove by in a car and stuck my head out the window. I guess I was in the back of some car, screamed something to the crowd. And the kid next to him pointed at the car and goes, there goes Great White. Because the singer used to call me Great White when I do a solo because I'm like the whitest guy in the world. You know
right,
what I mean?
right.
And so when I do a solo, he goes, Kendall the Great White, you know. And so when he heard that, and he hated our name, so when he heard that Great White thing, something clicked in his head. So the next day at our meeting at the record company, he said, yeah, dig the, you know, the vibe of the band, everything's cool, but hate your name, hate it. So we go, oh no, we got to think of a name again. He goes, no, I got it, Great White. And we're like, yuck, you know, we hated it. But then when we put the shark together with the name, we thought, oh yeah, this is good.
That's badass.
For one, we could play whatever we want. The name didn't dictate what kind of music we had to play. You know,
yeah,
it wasn't a name like Slayer where every song has to be "Kill Your Parents." You know.
Yeah, right.
So you know, we could play a ballad, a rock me, once been tried, you know, whatever we wanted. So we liked it in that way too. So yeah, that's how.
What besides Santana, who was some of your bigger influences as you were kind of like figuring out your style and who you wanted to, I don't want to say model, but like, you know, influenced you? And who even influences you now?
Well, I mean, you know, in the very early, like when I was just a young kid, it was the Beatles and the Stones on the radio. And I used to love singing along to that. I loved the melodies and everything. As far as guitar goes, Carlos Santana was really the first one where I just go, man, I want to be to him. He's just so good. And I really loved it because of the structured solos he would do were so tasteful and so melodically killer. And I just loved that because I was a real kind of, even as 5-year-old, I used to sing along to my parents' records, and I loved the singing, the melodies they did. So when a guitar player did that, it was, you know, kind of, he would do something fast, but he would also have this like melody thing. Then I just fell in love with it. So it started out Carlos Santana. Then as, you know, 15 rolls around, I discovered Johnny Winter, and I'm like, holy God, man, this guy's like, he's so good. This is crazy. And, you know, and it just kind of went on from that to, you know, Billy Gibbons, loved him, ZZ Top.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, he you know, the way he plays. And I'm actually pretty good friends with him and his wife. And
we interviewed,
you know, a lot of my girls have met these guys. It's pretty crazy.
It's almost always guitarists, too. We interviewed Billy Morrison and Dave Navarro about a year or two ago. We've had Nikki Sixx on. I'm trying to think who else. Ricky Byrd of Joan Jett.
Ricky Byrd.
You
He considers my buddy, man. He's my sober friend.
You know, cool guys,
he
man.
He does what we do. You know, he gets out there. He takes his guitar, you know, to different meetings and, you know, sober groups, and really gives his time.
He's doing a lot of music that is actually like the lyric. I mean, he's writing a lot of sober music too.
I got his album. He sent it to me. His last one.
Are you doing any of that? Are you writing about sobriety and stuff like that too? Or
my solo album, you know, there's a couple songs where where that entered. I'm not actually doing it, but I'm doing the work. I have an online sober group. I've worked with all these guys one-on-one. It took me 8 years. I got 121 people. Seen a lot of success.
Are you mentoring young musicians then too? Is that what part of your group is, or is it just sobriety based?
No,
or
it's also about sobriety. It's people that were, you know, suffering in their addictions, and from my posts they'd get a hold of me, and then I'd talk with them. I don't promote any kind of different programs, but what I do is when I get on one-on-one with them, like I don't go, you know, join this group, or, you know, this is the way to do it. I just share my story with them when I speak with them, and, you know, kind of give them some paths they can take, and then, you know, whatever they choose to do.
In the past, I mean, obviously it comes through that you're with sponsors and things like that, and that you're 12-step based. I mean, yeah. I was telling somebody in an earlier interview, we're, you know, primarily abstinence, 12-step based, but I guess it should take the opportunity to say it again. I really don't care. As long as somebody can have a happy, successful, and sober life, it doesn't matter to me how you get there, you know. I will say I'm not big on, somebody was talking to me the other day, and they were sober, and maybe this will make some people mad and make some people happy, but my personal thought is if you're smoking weed, that's really probably not recovery. I mean, no. You know, that's a little bit where I kind of draw the line.
That reminds me of, you know, there used to be a lot of stars that would come to the rehabs, and I remember Hollywood Henderson, he goes, first time he quit cocaine, he goes, he went out to his car, he was, you know, leaving the rehab, his buddy picked him up, and he goes, yeah, I'm done with that cocaine, and he reached into the glove box and lit this big joint, you know. Because what happens is the reason people don't have success when they do that is because it eventually leads back to the drug of choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That high is not, it's not doing it for them.
You know, it's interesting because you have the right brain, and you have this outlet that is very, very badass, where you can kind of get all this energy out by playing riffs or like getting lost. You know, you can get out of your head and go to a place in music where you're not thinking about different shit that's going on in your life, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember actually, originally I got my degree in engineering, and it was pretty tough. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I did get a degree in that. And I had to do really high-level mathematics at one time, only because I started out with like dumbass building blocks, and I just kept going and going. But I remember thinking, because I had a lot of anxiety in college, and that's when I first started to experience depression as well, and I remember thinking I can actually get into, you know, I had to do homework and study for a test, and I think I can get lost in like my calculus. Like it was so intense on the brain that it gave me a break from everything else, man. Like it took such concentration. Nowadays, I think about like, you know, I don't do that, but I can get lost. I love to write. I do a lot of writing for the magazine, and then I tell people that, I told somebody yesterday, I was sitting at the parking lot of the gym talking on the phone. I said, I'm going in for my mental health, man, and I have to go and work out and do things to where I'm releasing endorphins and stuff like that, you know.
Sure.
So I think if you're doing something that's not requiring, like you're doing something artificial, smoking dope or you're whatever, I think that you need to, it needs to be outward, not inward. I don't know, man. That's just my thought, you know.
Yeah. Using a drug to get you in a good place. I do Pilates a couple times a week, and that gets my endorphins and gets me working out and stuff.
What do you say to musicians that are, I mean, the rock industry is so steeped in drugs, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. and we know that we are different and differently wired, that maybe we can't have 2 beers, you know.
No.
So knowing that everybody is different, what kind of advice do you give young musicians that are maybe dabbling, or they're like, you know, hey, and perhaps they're not even showing the signs of addiction, but they're saying, dude, I like to smoke weed, or I like this, or I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it's not a problem. What kind of advice do you give?
Well, I've worked with a couple bands, and I walked into a rehearsal one time, and they were all drinking and smoking pot and stuff like that, and I go, what are you guys celebrating? Did you go platinum or something? You know, it was like
Wednesday.
Exactly. You know, I go, you're supposed to do all this stuff after you make it. You know, you guys are celebrating in advance. You haven't done anything yet. So I kind of go there, but I don't think, you know, addiction is really connected to music. I think if you're an addict, you can work in a cubicle space. You can be an engineer. You know, there's all
it's just so expected is what it is. It's just so expected.
It's so ready available.
Yeah.
It's always around. You know, in the 80s, it was cocaine was the sociable drug.
Besides your sobriety, what is most important to you today? Are you a faith guy, or is it a pay it forward guy, or charities, or what turns you on, man?
Pay it forward, charities, you know, good.
What are you passionate about, mostly?
Helping alcoholics.
Okay.
And seeing success, because I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm real competitive, so I really want somebody to be sober. And I don't take it personally when they fail. That's one thing. I had to learn that. I used to get really upset.
What did I do wrong?
Not so much guilty, but just feel so bad for them.
Yeah.
You know, just made me feel terrible. But now I realize it's their addiction and it's their problem, and they got to fight through it, and they're going to have you know, times where they blow it or whatever. But I just, you know, like when I share my story one-on-one with someone, I kind of, you know, I've identified all my triggers, you know, early in my recovery. I want them to identify theirs, like, what makes you drink? What is it? Is you're not comfortable in your own skin? You know, do you have fear? I'm trying to find things, you know, so I can help them.
Do you have kids too? Do you have kids too, Mark?
Yeah.
And you have those kind of conversations? Have you had the?
None of them are screw-ups. None of them are alcoholics or drug addicts. My daughter smokes a little pot, you know. But
are they anybody a musician or a baseball player?
No, my oldest son is marketing director for a CBD company.
Oh,
you know, geologist. You know, so they dabbled in guitar. My oldest boy was in bands, you know, when he was younger, but he went to school and. You know,
that's always thought that'd be pretty kick-ass. Like my dad is my dad's a rock star, man. I mean, like, when you're like a legit rock star, and I mean, I get people play, you know, coffee shops and different small venues, but like you played some pretty big places, man. That's gotta be pretty cool. You led me to one question I almost wasn't going to ask because it was kind of not connected to the others, and that was CBD. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because it's obviously this big trend. Every state pretty much has made it legal. There's only 3 states, I think, now that are not. There's, you know, pain, inflammation, anxiety, stuff like that. What are your thoughts on CBD? I mean, I'm sure you've had these conversations with your son and your daughter.
It helps with lupus, you know, people with cancer.
So you're an advocate? It sounds like you're an advocate.
I think if it's used correctly, you know, it's like a medicine. It's better, I think, than opiates and stuff like that people use, and then they get addicted and their lives turn to hell. So I think it's maybe a good thing. You know, it doesn't have THC, so it's not like they're wailing on, you know, hash or something.
I take it. I have some CBD sleep pills, and I got some anxiety ones. I don't like the anxiety ones that much because I'm kind of really, really sensitive, but if I can't sleep, I'll pop a sublingual CBD.
I've used the oil for my back. you know, the oil.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really notice any difference, so I stick to the biofreeze, but that's about all. I've used it. I tried it once, and I suppose it did something, but the Pilates has really improved my back. I mean, my lower back used to be messed up, and it's because when you're on the machine, in Pilates, you can stretch like beyond anything you could do on your own. I mean, it's like crazy.
Yeah.
So I think that stretching has really helped me.
Well, we only get one body, man, so you got to take care of it. And if you're in pain, you're looking. It's one of those pain pleasure things. You got to find a way.
Well, I'm kind of getting up in age, so I got to move. I have, you know, I need to have movement. I need to stretch. I need to, you know, work with light weights.
Are you a book reader too, Mark, or how do you, or who inspires you today? Or?
Well, I'm like a documentary freak.
Yeah. What are you into?
I watch a lot of documentaries, just on people's careers and stuff. I just watched Rodney Dangerfield's. Just watched one on Roy Cohn, who was a lawyer from a long time ago that represented a lot of people that were kind of corrupt.
I think I've heard that guy's name.
Interesting story there. Chris Wallace's story, man. God, that is such an amazing story, that guy.
Really? Chris Wallace is the Fox News guy, right?
I mean, not Chris Wallace. God. His last name is Wallace. The guy that started in news, he was a 60 Minutes guy.
Yeah, I think that is Chris Wallace, actually. I think he's a Fox News.
It's not the other Wallace, you know, the one you're talking about. But anyways, he had a really interesting story. And he kind of became the godfather of aggression. You know, in his interviews, he asked real tough questions that really got people mad.
Yeah,
So it kind of influenced other journalists to be a little bit more.
Just so I could get this one in too, is what the opiate crisis, man. If you could like wave a wand, or you could do, what do you think we ought to do? Like, what do you think if it was up to you, kind of question?
It's an addiction, just like any other addiction. As far as huge scale, like I know that. See, I can only reach so many people, you know, with my Facebook and stuff like that. And I have dealt with people that have, you know, had heroin issues.
Don't you think the pill makers ought to be sued or should be allowed to be, you know?
Well, I just think it should be way more difficult to get the opiate drug. You shouldn't just be able to, you know, get prescriptions for 360 Xanax, you know. The stuff, people who aren't, you know, maybe kind of born with addiction, you know, just compulsive people can become addicts, you know, and dependent. It's happened over and over again. You know, you get some kind of pain and you're prescribed this, or, you know, OxyContin or something. Before you know it, you're taking way too many, and it can get.
The thing is about it, man, is it makes you feel so good. I like how my brother had said. He goes, you know, it takes all your pain away. And you go, oh yeah, like then you go, no, like it takes all of your pain. It takes all of it away.
Yeah.
Oh.
Your mental, your everything is just like. Yeah.
Well, are you still bringing out some new music? Are you touring? You had mentioned something that what are you up to?
We're playing all over the place. You know, we're going to Europe. We got a big festival there. We're playing this week in Ohio.
Are you playing solo, or who are you playing with? I mean, obviously the band, but
with Great White.
Yeah, but I mean, are you guys with anybody else too?
With Slaughter, which is another '80s group this week. We have an acoustic show that we're doing on our own. We're writing songs. I've been going up north and writing and putting stuff on tape.
On your website or something, can I get like events and shows and stuff like that you're up to?
Just go on officialgreatwhite.com. Has all our, you know, tour dates, and there are more coming in every day. Merchandise. We have our own coffee.
Great White Coffee.
Coffee, yeah. Rock Me Roast.
Rock Me Roast. I'm gonna have to try that out, man.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
I'm a big coffee fiend. That's the first thing I got to have in the morning. Well, right on, man. I think that you're. I just really appreciate you reaching out and connecting with us and letting us spotlight you and tell your story. I said, you know, and I saw that, you know, I'm a really big fan, and I love happy endings, man. I like the whole idea that something shitty happens in your life and you fix it and turn it around and try to help somebody else to not have such a shitty experience as you had.
Yeah, I think, you know, this recovery life is available. You know, all you got to do is, you know, try to find some people, you know, maybe, you know, reach out and just say help. And, you know, and if you're ever looking to get sober, I'm always available. I don't hide from anybody.
How do people get in touch with you, Mark?
They can just go to my Facebook. I'm Mark Kendall on Facebook. You know, my Twitter is you can go on there and find me, Mark Kendall.
I'll put them all in here. We'll put them all in the feature, man.
I'm on Instagram. You know, like I said, man, if somebody's out there suffering and you want to get sober, I can share my story. You know, give you a few options that you can help yourself.
Really, really cool, man.
I have really seen, I mean, some amazing transformations with people.
Yeah.
People that looked like they were on the road to death. I mean, like physically. And just seeing them like a few months later and they just look like a different person.
It's like a resurrection, man.
Totally. And, you know, I hate to admit, because I'm addicted to everything that's, you know, can do me no good, but I think that I don't really like to call it addiction, but man, I am like, I love to see it. I just love to see people get well, you know.
Yeah, I don't like that term. I use like addicted to the gym or something like that, and some of the hardcore, you know, some of the hardcore people threw rocks at me. Like addiction is, I just think like it's something that I don't want to say that you're obsessed with, but like, you know, like you're just super, super, super into it, man, you know. Yeah. So I get it.
You know, and I warned about this, and just because I failed so many times getting sober for my kids, getting sober for my wife, getting sober for everybody but me, and that used to fail a lot. So I usually tell, you know, make sure you get sober for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, do it for you because all that other stuff takes care of itself. That's what I notice. Is like, you know, mama's going to love you again and trust you, and your kids are going to look up to you and be proud, and all that's going to happen.
Eventually. Obviously, it depends on the amount of damage, but yeah.
You got to earn that trust. You got to earn it. And,
I do believe in second and third and fifth and 10th chances, and I think the more you burn, it's a little bit harder. But, you know, what else are you going to do, man? I mean, we only got one life, so right on.
My best friend has you know, relapsed so many times, but he keeps coming back. I keep encouraging him. He's got over a year now, and
you're going on what, 12 years?
My sober date is 11/2/08. So 08. I just crossed the 11 mark, so I'm about 3 months past 11 years.
Come on, man. Keep on going. Keep on going, brother. Well, I appreciate the time. We're going to put everything in the feature here below. Probably put a couple of your videos and some music and stuff in there, your tour dates and everything, and also how people can reach out to you. But
there's a recent live thing. It's live in Kentucky, Great White, and you can. That's the most recent, so you can maybe grab that.
I'll look for that. I will definitely look for that. I just I want to thank you, man. It makes a difference. There's at least one person out there that connects and goes, oh, wow, I knew that. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me, man. Keep doing what you do, bro.
My pleasure. This has been another exclusive interview by Recovery Today magazine. We've been spending a little bit of time here with Mark Kendall, a great white, freaking rock star. He's badass. Connect with him here. And if you hang on just a second, Mark, I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay.